rods bend the keys, and the keys won't close, and your flute won't play well. So hold on to the flute right here where there aren't any keys. Got to put the head joint in. Gotta look to see that that's lined up there. We're holding the foot joint by the bottom, not by the keys, but by the rods again. Putting that together. And there's a tendency to want to match these two up, but they shouldn't match up. This key right here should be about in the middle of this rod here, and that's so that your little finger fits there. See, these fingers fit on those keys. The pinky fits on this one. It's a shorter finger, and that can be adjusted to whatever feels comfortable for your hand. Okay. Then what I do is I sight down here so the middle of my embouchure hole is lined up with the holes in my keys. Alright, so we're all ready to play. How to hold your flute. Okay, this can be one of the most difficult things to learn at first, and if you don't learn it right the first time, we can develop some bad habits. So let's try to do it right. Okay, our fingers, the pads of our fingers, we want them to be right in the center of our keys. And that's kind of nice if you have an open hole flute. You've got to keep your fingers in the right positions. But even if you don't, your fingers want to go right in the center there. You don't want them hanging over like that or this way or anything but where they should just be right in the middle. Okay, thumbs here can play either one of these two keys. The left hand little finger can just kind of float above this guy. He doesn't get played a lot. He plays A flat and G sharp and the high E flat and a high C sharp or C, but not a lot. Most of the time he just kind of hangs out. This little guy here, he gets to do quite a few keys. He plays the E flat key, and then he'll go over here and play the C sharp and the C, and sometimes if you've got the B foot, you play all three of those. Okay, and then we want to avoid having our fingers go up and down like that. I like to pretend that I've got some sticky glue on my keys, and then they can't come up very far there. They just kind of hover above them. They can't go flying up in the air. We don't want to avoid that. We want to avoid that. All right? Okay. In your diagram here, if you forget, he's showing you where your fingers go. Okay? Arch the fingers of your right hand and put them on the correct keys. You want to have just a little bit of arch. You don't need to over-exaggerate it, but just a little bit, and they should feel just kind of natural. All right, hold the flute to your right, put it up to your mouth, and try the first. You can try blowing across there without any keys down. It'll sound similar to what it did with just the head joint. Okay. Now, as we're going to put away our instrument, and this is really an important thing too. Carefully shake out any of the condensation, clean everything out, and wipe outside the flute. We'll do that in just a minute. Let's go on to lesson 1, the first note. First note they're going to have us learn in this book is an F, and this is the F that's where the note is circled around the top line there. So the top line of our treble clef staff is an F. And they've got a little guide here to show you how to put your fingers. So we're going to put our thumb on this key, and our left hand fingers are going to go 1, 2, 3 like that. All 3 of those keys are down. The next finger of the right hand and the little finger. The thumb, this guy doesn't get to play any keys. He just kind of balances the flute. All right? So, and as your book says, if they're colored in, those are the keys that are pressed down. So let's give that a try. And you want to do this in front of a mirror so you can make sure you're blowing correctly. Now what happens if you get a tone out like this? Well, that's an F, but it's a lower F. So how can we make that F jump up to a higher F? Remember when we blew down or low or high with our finger? Push your finger up and try to aim higher with your air, and that'll make that high F come out. Alright? So just a little bit more here in our first lesson. We're going to talk about notes and rests. Music uses symbols to indicate both the length of sound and silence. Symbols indicating sounds are notes. Symbols indicating silence are rests. So we can see the length of our notes here. A whole note, just a round one. Half note, round with a flag. Quarter note, the note's colored in with the flag. And eighth note, or stem, I'm sorry. And here's the flag that gives you the eighth note. And then here it gives you the symbols for your rests. Okay, now there's the first part where you can turn on your CD and play along with it. Let's just try playing some whole notes. And we've got 4 beats in our measure. We're going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright, let's just practice that without the CD at first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's just practice getting that F out. Practice that as many times as you need to. You can turn on your CD. This is going to be track 1. At the end of it, it'll go through all the information we just did. And make sure you understand all of that. And practice getting your F out. And to finish up our lesson today, we're going to put our flute away. So just the same as we did before, we're not going to hold on to the keys or the rods. And shake it just gently. So I need the moisture comes out. Putting our pieces away. And then you want to take some time to clean it out. I don't have my cleaning cloths with me, but I clean out this part very carefully. Several of these cleaning cloths so that they get wet, and I'll have a dry one. What I do for the head joint is I take the corner of a clean cloth. You can use a handkerchief or just a piece of cotton. Push it in there, just do this gently, and start twisting. Twist and push. And eventually you'll see this coming up into through the embouchure hole. Just keep twisting, pushing it gently, not forcing it. And then it'll eventually dry out all the moisture that's up by the embouchure hole. That's where you're going to get most of it. That's where you've been blowing. Okay. Twist it around, and if it's not, doesn't seem like it's dry, take another corner of your cloth, a dry corner, and do it again. Alright, and then for the other pieces, I like something like this. This is a dowel that's attached to just a piece of cloth. And you take that, slide it down through the flute, and do it enough times so that it comes out, or so that the flute is dry on the inside. Do that with the head joint. And then I like to take my cloth and wipe off all the fingerprints so it feels nice and clean, so it's not all sticky. And when you've done that, and it's nice and dry inside, your flute's ready to put away and put back in its case until the next time. So practice your first lesson. I'll see you at your next lesson. Until then, happy fluting.